2.
Well, hi everybody, and welcome to this quick little tutorial on personal protective equipment, proper use for custodial personnel. This is this is going to cover a lot of different scenarios, and we'll try to make this really quick. So here we go. So what is it as custodians that we generally use as personal protective equipment? Well, there's gloves. Talk about that. There's eyewear. There's a couple of different kinds of masks. There's dust masks and there's respirators, and we're going to talk about their usage. So first off, gloves. Let's look at gloves. So we use nitrile gloves. We currently use blue nitrile gloves. There's black ones. There's even pink ones. And I'm thinking for October, maybe I'll order up some of those pink ones, for our custodians. I think that'd be kind of a cool thing. But for now, we have blue. Properly put them on, you take them out of the box. They look like this. I got the wrong size. This is like a medium or a large, and I take a lot bigger than that. But anyway, you get the idea. This is how you get them on. And then let's talk about how you use them. There we go. Ooh, cool. Okay, so when would you use something like this? Well, pretty much anytime you're doing a cleaning operation. Even though most of the chemicals we use are not going to harm your skin, they're just as safe as possible to use by the end user, is what we're called. Well, they are pretty. They're pretty resistant to all of that stuff. So you don't want any chemicals really on your hands unless you have to, because you just never know how sensitive your skin is. And I'm a very sensitive person, so I like to wear these. Particularly dumping trash. You think about all of the things that go into a trash can. Especially our trash cans here. Anyway, you think of all the things that go into a trash can. And one of the things that when I would dump trash as a custodian, I'd go through the building and inevitably there'd be some used Kleenex. And so what do you have to do? It's like stuck. I know this is gross, but it's like stuck in there to the bag. So what would you do? Well, some people that weren't really bright like me would reach in and grab that and throw it away. But we never used gloves back in those days. And of course, me being me, wouldn't always remember to wash my hands, go to dinner, and then I'd wind up sick. Not very bright. Not in today's world, especially with all the different things that are out there. So it's important to wear gloves, particularly dumping trash, when you're using chemicals, when you're washing things. Pretty much most of what we do in the custodial operation, it's not a bad idea to wear these. Now, here's what you got to remember. They're kind of a one single use thing. So if you're going to go through and dump all the trash in your area, that's great. And then take them off, go and do whatever else, and then put on a new pair to do like your restrooms or something like that, because there's this thing called cross-contamination. And I've seen some really good videos on cross-contamination, but I'm just going to demonstrate real quick. So you got your gloves on. Good, you're nice and safe, you think. And you are, let's say you have to reach into a garbage can and you pull something out like a paper towel or a Kleenex or whatever. Well, you're protected, right? So you're good. So you pull that out, you get it in the garbage. Okay. But then somebody calls you on the phone, and what do? You grab your phone with that same hand, and now the germs are here on your phone. You do your text or whatever it is you do, and those germs are there. Or you got this, your eye itches. Okay, you've just infected yourself. We're always touching our face. I'm getting this mustache as sexy as it can be, and you're infecting yourself. So it's important to remember that once you start using your gloves, whatever your hands touch is infecting your gloves with, whatever. So don't touch your face, don't touch your phone, don't touch other places. Like I said, when you're done dumping your trash, take these things off, or when you're done cleaning the restrooms, take these off, get another pair. How do you take your gloves off safely? Well, you can do this. Or you can do that. I've seen that. I've seen people do that. But how you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to take and get the lip of it here. Okay, you pull it inside out like this, and then you take this part here, and you get the other lip, and you do that, and you throw them in the trash. They're contaminated. So they've been in my mouth, my mustache and stuff. So yeah, they're contaminated. Anyway, so we use nitrile gloves because a lot of people are allergic. Hang on, let me take this phone call. Okay, sorry about that. I get interrupted all the time. So the reason we go with nitrile gloves is the latex gloves that we used to have for so long. Many people are allergic to latex, and not just us, but a lot of the kids are allergic to latex. So if we're wearing latex gloves, that spreads latex throughout the earth, and yeah, people who are allergic, have some problems with it. So it's much better for us to go with the nitrile gloves. Very simple. That's why we do it. Okay, so we've beat gloves to death. Use them for most of the operations you do as a custodian. Let's move on here to eyewear. So we're gonna show you guys I've now got some larges here. Oh yeah, they fit a lot better than that other size. There we go. Okay. See, I got my gloves on. Nice. Okay, now for eyewear. All of the schools, we sent these really cool DeWalt safety glasses too. Although we do have other safety glasses, other brands that we order up and we send out. So everybody should have plenty of these in the custodian's office. Proper way, of course, is to do this number. They're nice and clear. And I was just wondering, does this eyewear make me look fat, or is it the fat that makes me look fat? Anyway, I like them. They're clear. These actually have bifocals in them, so old guys like me can see a lot better up close. That's great. These are going to protect your eyes from all sorts of things. Quite often, and again, the chemicals we use are as safe to use around people as we possibly can use, but still, I don't necessarily want chemicals in my eyes. I use my eyes for so many things that they're just too valuable. I don't want to take any chances. And besides, okay, you're cleaning a toilet and there's germs and stuff in the toilet. How many times do you flush the toilet and you get what's called toilet sneeze? Water sneezes back at you. I don't want that in my eyes. So yeah, this is important to wear. Okay, if I was dumping trash, maybe not so much, but there might be dust. It's like if you're working in a shop area, like a wood shop, yeah, you might be getting a lot of dust. So yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have these. Just regular dumping trash, I don't know that I would necessarily wear them, but they're available. But where these are really important is when you're mixing chemicals, when you're filling a bucket, anything like that, you definitely want to have these. Okay, so you either wear them all the time or you carry them with you and wear them during those times you're mixing, pouring, filling a bucket, filling a spray bottle, anything like that. And then when you're out doing like restrooms or you're spraying windows, whatever, with a spray bottle, you should be wearing these because, again, you don't want things getting into your eyes. Okay, very, very simple. A dust mask. One of these cool things. Now, I am allergic to dust. I know a custodian who's allergic to dust. Isn't that amazing? When I used to clean the wood shops in the junior highs and high schools that I worked at, I'd sneeze like crazy. And I had to keep my area dusted, well dusted, because if I got into a new area in a building that hadn't been dusted in weeks and weeks, and I go through and I dust, all of that stuff getting into the air, and I would sneeze really bad. So these are just regular particulate dust masks. When would you wear these? Okay. Anytime you're going to be around dusty, airborne conditions. So what if I've got a spray bottle and I'm spraying? Now a lot of our sprayers have a foaming trigger on it, which is good. It doesn't spray things into the air. But you think about it, when you're aspirating something into the air, do you really want that into your nose and into your throat and all that stuff? So not necessarily. I mean, again, we use very safe chemicals. And if I was spraying like an electrostatic sprayer with hyperchlorous, I wouldn't really worry too much about that because it's kind of one of them natural chemicals. It's not going to bother me, but it might bother your respiratory system. So you know what? Use one of these. It's a great idea. You know, when you're dumping trash, again, if it's up to you. Just dumping trash, I might not use this, but if I was dumping trash in a shop, a wood shop, you bet I'd use this. If I was blowing dust and dirt outside with a blower, of course I'd wear one of these. There's a lot of times you would wear something like this. Now, the question came up, what about in our infection control protocol? What if you are going into an area that's had some sick people, whether a bunch of kids have had the cold or the norovirus or COVID-19 or avian flu or whatever? You're going into an area or the healthcare, centers that we have in our district, and you're just doing cleaning operations. Should you wear any kind of protection? Well, I would say yes, because this here, again, will filter a certain amount of airborne particles. Okay. We don't know everything about all of these germs and pathogens that are in the air. We don't know. There's different conjecture how long some of those things hang out in the air, whether they attach themselves to dust particles and, fly around or whatever. I think it's just a good safety precaution that if you're doing not your regular run-of-the-mill, just walking through and level 1 protocol of infection control, which is kind of what we would do early in the school year, late in the school year. But during flu season, when you know that there's probably more people sick and you hear people coughing and sneezing and stuff, this isn't a bad idea. It really isn't, and it's easy. Check this out. Just put it here over my. Hey, look, it'll even fit over there. See. Ricky, I am your cousin's second. No, that's not how it works. Anyway, you get the idea. How long can you wear one of these? Well, if you're burnishing, and burnishing's a great idea because you don't see all them little fine particles, but yeah, it's kicking up a lot of dust when you're burnishing. You could wear this all afternoon, evening, and it's okay. Take it off when you need to take it off, when you get hot and sweaty, and you can take it off, reuse it. I would say using one of these a day is not bad. Here's the thing. Again, we're going to talk about infection control protocol for just a minute, because that's a little bit more touchy subject than just buffer dust or sawdust. Okay, with an infection control protocol, the last thing you want to do is be touching this with your bare hands and then touching your face. Why is that? Well, this is a filter. This is going to filter out a certain amount of stuff. And there might, some of it might get through, true, but this is going to be your most active area right here. So when you take this off, let's say we're doing an infection control protocol. Let's say that we're going into one of the clinic areas where there has been some very sick people. Let's just say norovirus, because that's pretty contagious, right? I mean, people throwing up and stuff, yuck. So, you're going in, you're doing your little thingy-mabobber here. And when you're done, you got gloves on, that's great. Then it doesn't matter what you do. You can just take it off however you want, and then you take your gloves off, wrap it all together, but don't touch this. Okay, act like this is infected with whatever. So don't touch this with your bare skin. And if you do, make sure you wash your hands. Very simple. Wash your hands. What do you do once you take your gloves off? Oh yeah, you wash your hands. Okay, even though you're protected, wash your hands anyway. Hand washing is, again, the #1 thing we can do to stop the spread of any infection and, well, just keep ourselves safe. So, all right, there's a dust mask. Let's move on. This is a new one for a lot of us, but going forward in the world, thanks to what COVID-19 has brought to our custodial realm, there are some places that we need to get into and do some deep disinfecting, okay? And a lot of these areas, well, maybe you've got people who are sick, like with COVID-19. Let's bring that one up, because it wasn't exactly sure how long somebody, it was like 2 weeks, somebody could be a carrier of it and pass it around without showing any symptoms. So you want to make sure that you're not, if they're maybe coughing, sneezing, whatever, you want to make sure you're not getting that, because not necessarily that it's airborne, but maybe it'll attach to some dust or whatever. So you want to be safe. Safety precautions. So let's look at the proper way to wear one of these respirators. And here's the one that I happen to have here, but there's a bunch of different, there's even some that look similar to this, but they'll say N95 on it. What that means is 95% of the particulates that are in the air, this is going to filter out. So this is a great filter. With these, just kind of looks like an envelope. And you take the bottom out here and you kind of do this number. Oh, see, it stretches out here. Yeah, okay, I got to get in front of the camera. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to put this on real quick. Hang on. Okay, so you notice that when I put this on, that I tucked the bottom underneath my chin, and as much facial hair as you can, try and get covered up there, because you want it to have a pretty good seal, which this does. You want to bring it up over your nose. You've got this little bar here that you crimp down over your nose, okay, so that you've got a pretty good seal. There's two straps. The first one goes all the way back and underneath my ear here. You see that? Underneath my ear. And the second one comes up and goes over the top of my ear here. Okay? So so you see how that fits? Okay. Now with these N95s, they're great. They're also sometimes hard to come by, especially like when we had the COVID-19 issue. There was a shortage of these because so many people were sick and healthcare just didn't have enough of these to go around. And we had a limited number in the school district for our people so that they could be safe. But these are, how can I put it? These are kind of a specialized tool. So whether you got a ton of them, whether you've got a few of them, again, they're like any other tool. We need to make sure that we're using them properly and judiciously. So would I wear this to buff a floor? Not really. Would I use this to dump the sawdust collector? Not really. Would I use this if I was just cleaning a bathroom? No, not really. Except if I was doing that around people during a time of, say, a pandemic like COVID-19, or Other highly infectious times. Again, let's say I'm going into one of our clinic areas, and there have been a lot of people with, I'm going to throw norovirus out again, because norovirus is just bad, nasty. But it could be the flu, could be the influenza A or B, it could be H1N1, could be the avian flu, could be COVID-2, could be COVID-19, could be any of these things, okay? You can't really see these particles. You can't really see these particles. You just got to assume that everything's infected. So you're going into like one of the clinics, and you're going to clean an area. There's some people around you. Yeah, this is when you want to wear this, because the last thing you want to do is be unprotected, have somebody sneeze in the air, cough in the air, whatever. And I don't know how long that stuff hangs out in the air. It might hang out for a few minutes. It might hang out for hours, but I certainly don't want to walk through someone's cloud of sneeze that has, one of these pathogens, okay? If I do, I want to be wearing something like this. And here's what's going to happen. This is going to filter out most of those pathogens. Okay? I got my eye protection on. Okay, so I don't have to worry about this, cloud of sneeze getting here necessarily. I've got these on, which is good, as long as I wash my hands when I take them off. Okay, so how long can you wear one of these? It depends. It depends on the concentration of whatever. They're kind of recommended by the CDC, and some others have recommended that if you're going to go into a work shift and be around people that entire shift, then okay, one day you're done. Now, if you were just going in to one room for 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, let's say, to vacuum or perform some kind of operation like that, or to spray it down, and you come out and you're not around people the rest of the day, first of all, I wouldn't be wearing that all day long unless I'm around a bunch of people. Okay, around being, in close proximity. So I just went in for 5 minutes. Do I throw this away? I don't think so. I would use this. I would feel fine in using this several times. Again, think about the time of exposure. Think about how long you are around somebody, how many people you're around. Okay, so if you're in close proximity to a bunch of people that are ill, then yeah, this is a good idea. Not only for your protection, but for theirs. Because you might have a cold too, and you don't want to be spreading stuff. So anyway, when I talk about proper use and judicious use, we don't want to unnecessarily waste products and equipment that are potentially valuable. And remember, in COVID-19, these things were very hard to come by, and for the healthcare industry, these things were absolutely vital. So for us to be protecting ourselves, that's a good thing. But just to wear it, again, these should be worn when you're around a group of people in close proximity, and really only during times of infection control, outbreak, those sorts of things, when you have confirmed cases of, not confirmed cases, but a huge concern that part of the population you're around could be potentially ill. That's probably a good way to put it. So every cold and flu season, do we want to wear this all the time at work? I would say no. But if you are cleaning areas where you know somebody has been ill, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. And again, you can get more use out of it than just the 30 seconds it takes to clean something up. So I don't know. I think I look pretty much ready to operate. Operate as a good, safe custodian. So, all right, well, there, I hope you guys got something out of this. Hey, we'll cover my bald spot with it. How's that? Make sure to wash your hands. during your shift, after your shift. You don't want to be taking stuff home with you, and I mean, you know, bad germs and things. You want to make sure when those gloves come off, you do that happy birthday twice thing. Okay, do that. Make sure you're washing your hands really good every time you take off your gloves. If you decide not to wear gloves, well, that's on you, but make sure that you are washing your hands frequently. Because here's the thing, it's not that I'm going to get any of these viruses from, you know, touching and cleaning surfaces, because we're using some pretty good sanitizers and disinfectants, right? So my hands should be pretty good. But here's the problem. When we touch our eyes, which is an entry point, when we touch our mouth, when we touch our nose, and I don't mean like this. Nobody ever touches their nose like this and gets ill. They do the deep dive, okay? And when that happens, yeah, that's where you start getting ill. So make sure to wash your hands and stay safe. And if there's any questions, of course, always contact one of the leadership team, and we'll do our best to answer, at least to the best of our ability. So thanks for joining us today, folks, and stay safe out there.